representation of the old covenant age. You know why? Because they're reading that book, Tom. And you know what they tell them? That's it. This is it, right? This thing right here is it. There's nothing else.
Yep.
This is it. This right here is it. There's nothing else.
Yep.
And you know what's crazy? The new covenant's in here.
Right.
It's there.
But it's hidden. It's there.
It's hidden to them.
It's hidden.
It's hidden to people who are still walking under the old covenant belief system of this is right and that's wrong. And they even think, here's what's crazy. They even think that it's just connected to like the Ten Commandments. And I'm like, listen, you guys got to understand something. God creating that belief system of this is right and wrong and this is, okay, religion and the Ten Commandments and all those Jewish laws, those 613, 14, whatever it is, laws, that's just a byproduct of that belief system that man ate from. What I'm saying is the Ten Commandments is a byproduct of man's belief system. If you look at the Ten Commandments, it's about the knowledge of right and wrong. If you look at the Jewish laws, it's about the knowledge of right and wrong. If you look at the message that's sitting in church,
which was from the tree, from Adam and Eve,
is from the knowledge of right and wrong.
Yep.
And guess what? None of them want to make that connection.
And even further, what you said earlier is it happened, so it wasn't a surprise to God. God wasn't so disappointed. God knew that they would eat. He knew man, and he knew they were going to eat from that tree. 2,000
years.
But people are thinking it was a surprise to God. They, oh my, God didn't see that one coming.
Is this thing on there?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to start talking about this because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. The learned man is out there teaching people.
Yeah.
And he's a double-minded man.
Yeah.
He's out there believing that he's something. But then we'll stand up and say, well, God came in us. God came in us. But we're still the driving force. Our will and our power is still active.
Pushing God out of the picture.
And God, he's just in there for the ride.
Yeah.
But it's us that's determining what's taking place.
Where did...
Anyway, it's just crazy. 2,000 years later, we don't know the new covenant. It's mind-blowing to me.
Right.
And you know what? I mean, holy crap. I started learning this when I was 27, Tom. I didn't have some preacher out there. You think I had some preacher out there telling me about the new covenant?
It was written on your heart.
For some reason, I don't know why, he started telling me about this stuff. And ever since, everybody thinks I'm nuts.
Yeah.
But the new covenant is God taking that belief system of it's about the behavior of man. It's about man's choices. It's about what man's up to.
It's the real good news. It's the real
It is the gospel.
It's the good news. It's why Jesus came.
And listen, this book, the story they're telling from this book is a manifestation. This story about Jesus Christ going to the cross. Jesus Christ was a manifestation. Because that's what man needs. He's got to have a manifestation. So he gave us this book and he gave us this this Christ, and he told us this story. But all of that I just said, is a manifestation of the thing that was done before the world began.
By the great architect.
And that's how big God is. And that's how big the grace of God is. There's nothing being done. It's done.
Right.
Listen, it was done before we showed up. Before man took his first breath, it was done. And it's just crazy. Our narcissism has us running around here thinking we're doing something. We're like a separate, and in the old covenant, you go read this thing, it's telling us we're a separate being. And our own will and our own power. Well, what did he do? Well, he brought a new covenant. He brought Jesus along, and the story says he went to the cross and man died with him. Along with Satan and sin and the enemy and the devil. And nobody teaches that for some reason. I don't know why they don't. You know what? Well, I do know why. Because they can't give themselves up. They got to hold on to their man's choices. Their choices.
And the power that comes
never
with
was
it.
Their man never had a choice. And they'll sit there and tell me the devil had a choice. The devil never had a choice. It's unbelievable. 2,000 years later, we're still telling people this. The enemy. Oh my gosh, the enemy.
The enemy died. There's no enemy.
He said he came to destroy the works of the devil. I guess he failed. He didn't get her done.
Right. No. It was on us to complete the unfinished work.
The only thing that's not getting done is our unbelief. We're walking around in unbelief. We're walking around thinking we're an independent self with our own will and our own power, and the thing that's driving that is our own narcissism.
And we think it's a if we do good things, we'll receive good things. If we do bad things, we'll receive bad. We were in our mind. We have this judgment, continual judgment of how we are and who we are and what we receive.
You know, Dan, if you just give us the steps, Dan, take that book and give me, a list of search scriptures that I can search. Holy crap! We've been doing that for 2,000 years.
What
I'm sorry.
No, it's great.
Holy crap! I mean, I'm like, we've been doing this for 2,000 years. We're sitting here and Dan, see, this is it. And we sit here and we need to search the scriptures. Got to search the scriptures and we got to find out what's right and what's wrong. How we ought to be living and how we ought not to be living. Holy crap! We've been doing that for 2,000 years.
Yep.
And they wonder why the world is the way it is. It hasn't turned upside down. I just don't know why our pastor, he's so good. And our priest, he's so good. And our bishop, he's so good. And our rabbi, he's so good. I just don't know why the world isn't turned. Well, I know why. It's man's sin.
When the
reality is it's man's unbelief in the fact that Jesus Christ, God, before the world began, saved man.
And our glossing over it and not accepting that saving and missing the gift that was given.
They're going to think I'm a crazy person. Yeah. But anyway, it doesn't matter because they've been thinking I'm a crazy person, 50 years. But I just I can't even, it doesn't even, I don't even understand it.
So the two scenarios we were talking about before we turned the video on, both from our perspective, when you helping me understand the new covenant, when things happen, if it happened, it was due to God's will. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. And even the bad things, yes, even the things we would label as bad, yet we can't see the perspective that God has. That's His perspective.
Right. The only people
that
are sitting that are out there believing that something's bad as man.
Right. Well, Aunt Sarah just got run over. Man.
That's a bad one.
Right. Well, yeah, it's not what
I
we
mean, my
want.
gosh,
It's
absolutely, I get it. I get all that.
Mhm.
I just like, when does God show up around here?
always
You know what I mean?
when it's all around. It's,
I
it's
talk
like
to
a fish.
Christians.
It's like a fish
I
being in
talk
the
to
water.
Christians about stuff, and holy crap, that's what I want to ask them. When does God show up?
And when you said that, I pictured, you got the beautiful view there of the water. I pictured a fish asking the other fish, "Where's the water?"
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Where's the water?
I don't see any water. I don't believe in water.
It's crazy.
It's everything. There is nothing in that environment that's
Certainly.
not water. And
This would be
yeah.
this would be good for us someday. When 20 years from now, we'll
We didn't know how to explain it yet.
We'll open this thing up and you go, "There's Dan going nuts." I'm just like, sometimes, Tom, it's like, are you kidding me?
Well, you have to laugh at God's humor.
Yeah,
Because God
right.
sent Jesus to bring the new covenant, to give us this gift, and we still, as humanity,
Can't do it.
haven't received the gift.
You know why? Because we're in the way.
Because that
We
means
can't get out of the
dying to-
way.
Dying to ourselves. Man died on the cross as well.
We
What does
can't-
that mean? And we've been told, we've been told since I remember in kindergarten, like, yeah, geese fly south because they're animals and they're programmed to fly south. All other animals do what they do because they're animals. The only thing that separates us from the other animals is free will.
Free will.
Which, when you get the new covenant and when you get that, God's at the steering wheel and has designed it before it began. It was done before it began,
Yeah.
and it's done.
Tom, that all makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
Tom, you tell a human being that.
So
They're gonna have a fit. It's what's crazy about, and this is what blows me away with Christians. You tell them they're free and they get upset at you. I don't even know what to say about that.
Right.
The truth will set you free.
Right. And the truth is in there.
And they
But
think
it's-
they're free because they go to a church and they let them wear blue jeans.
Yeah.
Or, well, we don't sit in pews, we sit in chairs. Okay. Oh, our service is relaxed. Our pastor, priest, he delivers the message in love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, oh man.
And they go back to the book, which the book you've established is a representation of the old covenant, and it introduces the new covenant, but in amazing fashion, you have to really search for it. Like, it's not clearly outlined, and I think that's kind of, well, they call it an Easter egg.
Right.
Easter egg in, when I was a kid, I'm like, what does Jesus have to do with Easter? And then as I grown up and got into the programming world, I'm no programmer, but I work with programmers. Programmers will design something, like an architect. They'll architect it, they'll design it, and they'll put in only Easter eggs that they know about that no one else knows about yet. Yet the people who really seek and find it, they'll uncover that Easter egg. In video games, it's popular to find like little slip through and get all these powers. Easter eggs. Well, if this is the program of the great architect created, and it was done, he had the Easter egg, which was Jesus, yet the message has been overlooked. And people have been sold a false message of what that is. The good news isn't that Jesus died and all this, and you just now have to be like Jesus, and then at the end you'll be judged whether you were good or not.
Well, yeah, the message that's being presented to them connects with their belief system.
Right and wrong.
Of course.
Yep. So at the end.
So the way they go.
Yep.
So, hey, yeah, somebody stands up and says this is it.
So Jesus
you
saved
ought not
you.
to.
But
Thou shalt not.
Jesus saved you, but make
Yeah,
sure.
you got to live this way.
Right.
Ought not to be. Right? There's a plenty of them in there.
Right.
They just don't. The problem is they don't know how to divide the old covenant from the new covenant. It says you're supposed to rightly divide the word of God. Well, you can't rightly divide this book if you don't know the between the old covenant and the new covenant.
So help us.
I mean, it's crazy.
So you actually have people that you listen to, and you love the fact that they're talking about the new covenant. Yet, in Jesus' example, he talks about you can't mix the new wine and the old wine and the old wineskins. You need a new wineskin, and that's the old covenant and the new covenant. And a lot of people that are talking new covenant still bring up the law, still bring up sin, still bring up the devil.
Well, I tell you what. The truth is, most of them don't even bring up the new covenant.
Mm-hmm.
That's the majority of them. Most of the people out there go to church every Sunday, haven't heard the new covenant.
They've heard of the
Their
Ten
whole
Commandments, right? They heard of the Ten Commandments. They
heard all thou shalt nots and the commandments and the right living and how we ought to be doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And all that connects to their belief system from that fruit they ate from. So it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one guy out there that's actually says, hey, there's a new covenant. And it's like, holy crap. It's monumental.
It's been hidden.
It's
What are you talking about, a new covenant? Oh, you mean the New Testament? Yeah, there's a New Testament. No, not the New Testament, the New Covenant. The New Testament introduces Jesus, but Jesus introduces the New Covenant.
Yeah, the new covenant was introduced by Christ on the cross. So the new covenant's in Jeremiah and Hebrews. But it's just, wow. So anyway, the new covenant, the difference between the old covenant and new covenant is the old covenant is about the behavior of man, and the old covenant is telling man that this is the right way to live.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're sitting in church and some pastor's up there talking about right living, okay, that's the old covenant.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're under the new covenant, you're not talking about right living.
Mm-hmm.
You are right living. You can't be not right living.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because Christ. So the new covenant is all about God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing about you. Has nothing. You're not in the equation. You find out that this thing that you thought you were, this something that you thought you were, you weren't. You never were. There never was a something.
Yep.
You were never a something.
Yep.
Never. Ever. So God took care of all that. And that's the new covenant. So this sin issue, it's been dead for 2,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
The enemy's been dead for 2,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes against everything that we've been taught our whole life. That has been drilled down into our brain. And they do it in different ways, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're in the Mormon church, buddy, they're slapping some heavy-duty fear on you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Your Catholics are getting some heavy-duty guilt.
Mm-hmm.
The Jewish people are getting some heavy-duty guilt.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, and I could go on and on, but they're all under the law, and that's why when you see people come out from underneath that belief system, out of that religion, what do they feel? They feel relief.
Right.
It's like having a bad girlfriend.
Yep. Right.
When you come out of a relationship like that, you go, whew, glad that's over with. I just dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what those people are feeling. And it doesn't matter if you're Mormon, coming out of the Mormon world, or Baptist or Methodist. I came out of the Baptist thing. Coming out from underneath the Muslim world, it doesn't matter what they do, is they feel relief.
Mm-hmm.
They can finally breathe.
Just be.
Because it's a work program.
Right. Continually being
And,
judged.
and you get
And always wrong, always bad. I mean, if you're
Well,
trying
you're
to live
not
up,
gonna.
you can't live up.
You can't be good enough.
You can't measure up. Yeah.
So, so what happens to a lot of them is they'll go, "Oh, okay, I used to go to the Catholic Church, so now I'll go to this other version," and then they think they got it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, the truth is, yeah,
Still
it's
more.
probably maybe better grace. I'd probably say, yeah, you probably if you're gonna go to church, go to that one.
Right.
But they still don't have. They still aren't being taught the new covenant.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the message hasn't blown up and turned the world upside down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because man thinks he's, you know, it's like this new phenomena that's happened in the Western world of grace. Oh my gosh, grace.
Yep.
Oh man, our pastor, he teaches grace.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. And so the new covenant is
holy
not
crap.
inclusive. It's an all-inclusive, not an exclusive club. It's inclusive of everybody, every race, every
so
religion,
yeah.
It's written on all hearts. It's in the way that I hear it. It's like when a programmer changes a code, it rewrites the whole program, the operating system. So the new covenant brought in a new operating system that was written on all of our hearts.
Right.
So humanity as a whole, in our DNA, it's written on our hearts.
Right.
So the word, like we don't have to go to college for 10 years to learn. Like we know it's in our hearts. And when we go inward instead of outward and realize that God is within and we are God and we are one, it's a big burden there.
That's the new covenant. That's one of the things too is they're so concerned about everybody out there in the world because they might be going to the bad place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a part of the program.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the old covenant program is that we need to get out there and save the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're just now getting saved. I mean, the truth is every person that is born, that is created, okay, that is in this world, has God in them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are they aware of it?
Most aren't.
A whole lot of them out there aren't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're an atheist or agnostic. I don't care what you call yourself. Guess what? You got God in you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you might completely reject that and be pissed off about it and all that stuff, but doesn't change the fact that guess what? God's in you.
Yeah.
And he's not going anywhere.
Right.
Okay? Now, you might not be aware of it, but it doesn't change the fact God's in you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, it's unfortunate because what happens is you're not aware of what that can do in your life.
Mm-hmm.
The most powerful, the one out there that created all this, that you can see and touch and smell, is in you. But the hell with him.
Yeah.
You know? But what I'm saying is, so the Christians, you know, bless their heart, you know, they're all concerned about people's souls and where they're going. They think grandma's going to hell, you know?
Which it means that Jesus had unfinished work, that he didn't do the job, right? And that circles back to, you know, that example of, you know, the family with eight kids or whatever going to Africa, and in the compound, you know, they left the compound and somehow got killed, you know. And from our perspective, knowing the new covenant, well, that's part of God's plan. We don't understand it. We're not saying that stuff is like, oh wow, okay, great, woohoo. You don't sell, you know. There's time for sadness. There's time for mourning. There's time for grief, but nothing happens without God's knowing. It's not ever a surprise to God, and it's not ever a not designed by God. It's all been designed since the start. So it's, you know, from our perspective, we can see it as unfortunate and not ideal, and it sucks.
But what people do is they take that experience and they say, oh, well, you know, wait a minute. Maybe that wasn't God. Maybe that was, you know, there was sin in somebody's life, or maybe the enemy was coming against the missionaries to keep them from spreading the word, and
It's all God.
Everybody's powerful except God.
Right.
God can't. Apparently, He can't do anything.
Needs our help for sure. In the old covenant belief, the new covenant belief is God's got it under control. Fortunately, we don't have to have the burden. We don't have to do anything. God's not sitting there like, holy crap, I hope Tom and Dan do it today and get that done or else.
Okay, what we're talking about is believing in God. If we're going to stand up and walk around and tell people we believe in God, we believe in Jesus Christ, we believe in God, you probably ought to find out who He is and how he thinks and how He operates. But I can tell you this, He doesn't think and He doesn't operate like you.
Like a human, right? If I was in charge, it would be different. But I'm not in charge.
He does not think the way you think. And He does not operate off of your right and wrong, good versus evil belief system. Mm-hmm. Holy crap, let's get that. Mm-hmm. If we could get that.
Right.
And
so looking out in the world, right. From our perspective, there's a lot of bad stuff happening.
Let's get that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, let's take all of that crap that was supposed to pass away. It says it's supposed to pass away. Okay, so if we can get all that and let it pass away, now let's start talking to God. Let's get rid of all the crap around us and start talking to God. Let's go find out what's in here, not in there. This is bigger than that. Mm-hmm. This is much bigger than that.
Wow.
Oh, we can't trust this because, maybe the devil, maybe the enemy. Well, guess what? We're going to let that pass away. Okay? Let's let it pass away. The devil's dead. My gosh. 2,000 years later, we're still talking about the devil.
The whole purpose for Him coming here and going to the cross and doing what He did, sacrificing His own Son, which was Him, for all of us, is still missed. And we think there's unfinished work. We, as most of society.
Well, we think we can do something.
Yeah. Is God doing it all? And that's a big one. I mean, we've chatted about this, and ever since we were small, free will is the big thing we've been taught.
This stuff has been drilled in our brain forever. No. Ever since we've been breathing.
Yep. That's the
man starts breathing, and he's convinced he just walked in the middle of free will. Yep. And if you say otherwise, you're crazy.
Right.
But look out there. That's the land of free will.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Right.
That's the production. That's the product of free will. Mm-hmm. And we've never known anything else. It's their normal. It's their normal. Mm-hmm. They've never known anything else. Mm-hmm. 2,000 years later. Pretty sad.
And it's perfect because it's God's will, so it's perfect.
It's actually not right.
But it's us having the burden of thinking that we are not only in control, but we have to save the world. Individually, I have to save the world. That's a big burden.
And the thing is, Tom, you and I, we walk through this every day and we go, that's what God's doing.
I think I wanted to kick my butt earlier.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it like, all right.
That's what
just
God's
walking
doing.
around.
That's what God's doing, right?
Yeah.
So, we get it.
Yeah.
Listen, This is what it's supposed to be.
Yep.
This is how it was designed.
Because it is.
And it was, it's supposed to be that 2,000 years from now, we're still teaching people the old covenant. I get it. And it's just every once in a while. I'm like, God, I'm fed up with this. Holy crap.
Right.
I feel bad for people.
Well, they missed out on the good news. They missed the good news. And yes, you know Jesus, and yes, but you're missing the new
And they
covenant.
think, what I'm told is I'm sending people to hell.
Right. Yeah,
Because you're telling people they don't have to say the 14 words.
Yeah.
And they don't have to say, confess their sins and all this stuff. And, how are they going to get saved, and holy crap, And so they think I'm sending them to hell. No, what I'm saying is, hey, let's start believing in God.
Yeah. Lift that burden. God's got it. God's got you. Is the journey? Well, guess what? And the world is what it is, and He created it with the knowledge of good and evil, right? And it is what it is. And there's people out there with all these beliefs. So it's going to be what we would interpret as chaos, what we'd interpret as, if I was in charge, it'd be different. But we're not. And that's the way it was designed. But what's ours to do? So knowing the new covenant, what's ours to do is just be in communion, in communication with God, have a conversation with God, chat with God from the heart. And this brings me up, like when you said this is more powerful than that, like that brings back to that time I was sitting in the parking lot when my mom kicked me out, and my heart's telling me to go to New York City, but I'm in Rochester, which is a 6-hour drive, and it's 9 p.m. That's part A. Part B, I only have $60 to my name. C, I'm in an old beat-up 82 Volkswagen Rabbit diesel with 250,000 miles. And E, I didn't know anyone in New York City, yet my heart's telling me to go to New York City. It's ridiculous. I got on the road and went to New York City. And I wasn't raised religiously, but I did talk to God. And I said, God, I don't know why I'm going. I just feel called to go. And I said, look, if you can help me, I'd appreciate it, but we'll see. But if I'm meant to die there, I'll die. If I'm meant to live in my car, I'll live in the car. If I'm meant to live on the streets, I'll live on the streets. I get there at 3 a.m. A Chinese restaurant didn't have rice. I went back to the car and I ran into my stepfather at 3 a.m. after the Chinese restaurant didn't have rice. That is God, but that's an extreme example, but God is always there. It's if we're willing to communicate and trust in the process and do what we feel is ours to do. And that's the part where we let our ego creep in and stop us from following our heart and saying the thing that we feel called to say, doing the thing we feel called to do. This morning, so the guy wanted to beat my butt. I'm in a crosswalk, and they have these crosswalks that say the pedestrian, if there's a pedestrian, they have the right of way. You got to stop. And Juan and I always joke, we're like, someone's going to get run over. They don't stop. So normally I don't even cross here, but they're having some construction, and the sidewalk is closed.
They see that as an opportunity.
Right, it's a bonus points. You get bonus points if you run someone over. So normally I don't cross there, but the sidewalk was closed for construction. It said, and it had the thing saying cross here. And normally I wait for traffic to when I can cross, but it was a packed morning. So I said, let me test out this crosswalk pedestrian right away. I walk out, these people stop. The first person coming the other way stops, but the other person, in fairness, probably didn't see me, but he saw that other person stop, kept going. But I stopped. I wasn't walking blindly thinking, this person will stop. He went past me, and as he went past me, I snapped the back window of his truck. Well, boy, he stopped quick and jumped out and is in my face talking about how he's going to kick my butt. And I'm sitting there and I'm just running through all these scenarios in my mind. I knew we had a meeting this morning. I'm like, man, I might even miss the appointment with Dan, and I won't have time to call him because I'm wrestling this guy in the road.
That ought not to be.
Right. But I'm just sitting there, and he's all fired up, man. He was really pissed off. And I can get it from his perspective, but then other lady pulls over and yelling at him for yelling at me, and I'm all calm, and I'm telling the lady it's okay. And I said, so you're gonna kick my butt? I said, great, and anyhow, it all happened. Now on the rest of the way, I was thinking, boy, maybe I didn't have to hit the back of his window, but then I thought back to this and what we're talking about here. I'm like, hey, it happened the way it happened. Who knows? I don't know what the grand scheme of it is. Maybe that guy will be looking for me.
I can tell you this. Let's say right now. Hey, buddy, we love you.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yep.
We love you.
It happened.
That's what we know.
Yeah.
What we know about that guy that wanted to kick your butt this morning, we love you.
Right. Love you.
Right?
Yep.
But God puts scenarios together, Tom. He does. He puts scenarios together.
Yep.
I don't know what he's doing with all that.
Right.
I'm not God in the God relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep.
So,
So back to free will, the whole thing about free will, and this is a big one. This one is hard. It was hard for me to grasp when you brought it up to me, and it's still,
it takes
still,
a while,
right?
doesn't
Still,
it? It's tough, isn't it?
So on the walk, maybe I didn't have to hit that. Maybe this and that. What could I have said or done, that whole thing? Well, and here's my perspective that goes into the multiverse, which we both believe in the new covenant, but I believe in the God being big enough that God has every choice we could have ever possibly done is in the thing, meaning there's no right or wrong choice. It's all accounted for. So in the multiverse, there might have been a version of me not slapping the window. There might have been a version of that guy stop, like all the different possibilities. But the possibility I experienced was that one, and it was perfect. So wherever you are, and this helps me understand the free will aspect. I picture God being that programmer. There's a movie out there called Bandersnatch by Netflix, and it was a choose your own adventure, kind of like those old books where you can choose. If you open the door, go to page 20. If you didn't know, if you turn, so I see life kind of like that choose your own adventure book. But guess what? The author knew all paths lead, where all paths lead. I see God as knowing knowing it all. So that takes away the free will, but it makes us feel like we have free will, which was kind of the message in that Bandersnatch movie. We appear that we have free will, yet God's accounted for it all. No matter what we do.
Well, that's how he made it.
It's
right?
all God, right?
That's how he designed it. It appears like
right.
We're operating in free will. It's
Right.
like it's not like you and I are walking around going, right?
Joystick, yeah, right.
It's like the pastor talking about, we're not puppets and we're not on, he's not the puppet master. No, it's just you not understanding free will.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, exactly.
My God is so big, it's all. So no matter what our thoughts, everything is God.
I don't know what is the problem with us believing in God's will instead of ours.
Right. Or God being.
I call myself well, I'm not going to do that because I don't.
Uh-huh.
I don't call myself a Christian.
Okay.
But if I call myself a Christian, why is that a problem? Wouldn't I rather be in God's will?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no way you can't be in God's will.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. There's nothing that you can do.
Right.
If you understand the new covenant, there's nothing that you can do that changes how he sees you. You are fully, not some, you are fully reconciled. You are fully justified. You are fully sanctified. You are fully and completely perfected. I mean, let's just end this. How about we just end this?
Unconditionally.
I don't care how I look or how this behavior kicks out and how the world judges it. He said, I am justified. I am reconciled. I am accepted. And you are perfected. Let's end this.
Receive it.
Yeah.
The gift is.
Wow.
The gift has been given.
Wow. Does it get any better than that? You want to talk about the gospel? Is there anything better than that?
No.
And we think we can do something about that. We think we are so freaking powerful that we can change that. Well, listen, God's sovereign. And that's what he decided. And I'm glad he did. Because I'll tell you what, I'd hate to walk around this planet Earth believing in free will. And believing in the old covenant. And still sitting in there searching the scriptures, trying to find out if I'm doing it right or not. And all concerned and all shook up because grandma might have passed away and went to hell.
Right. I've been around people on their last days.
Right.
There was that fear.
Right.
Still.
Yeah.
I wonder where I'm going. Yeah.
What in the world?
Right. Yeah.
So we're out there teaching. You no wonder the world sits out there and looks at us and goes, holy crap, I don't want anything to do with that God.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That God, he didn't seem very loving to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there's stuff out there happening in my life, your life, the whole world, everybody's life, that if we look at it from our perspective, like, that's not good.
My gosh, I've heard pastors say,
Yep.
there's things going on with this person because of their sinfulness.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Holy crap. 2,000 years later.
Well,
Hey guys, hello. Why don't you open up Jeremiah 31, Hebrews 8 and 10? It's not that freaking difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You're intelligent, you're smart. What does the new covenant say? You can read it. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
This needs to end. This really does. This needs to end.
Well, and
You want to change America? You want to change the world? Get a hold of the new covenant.
And what does it change? It changes you and your
Oh
perspective.
my gosh.
And it relieves. It just is a big relief.
I've been walking around planet Earth not believing in free will for like, what, 40 years? How many people do you think I run into that understand the new covenant?
Very few. Right. But you can heard of it. But then what I have
I don't know.
with being around
Darlene,
yep.
Colorado.
Yep. And
I could start naming off people.
Andy and the street.
Yeah,
Andy
I
on
could
the
start.
street, yep.
I could start naming off people. They get it, but man, oh man,
Mm-hmm.
they're few and far between. Man, the whole world is bought into a lie.
Yep.
They were told a lie and they believed it. Why? Because it connects to their belief system of this is right and that's wrong. And I don't give a crap. And if an atheist stands up and says, you know, he doesn't believe in the Bible and he doesn't believe in the book of Genesis and he doesn't believe in the trees in the garden, I don't give a crap. Doesn't change the fact. That's what the guy believes in.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, when you peel the onion, that's what the guy believes in. I don't care if he is an atheist. I believe in this is right and that's wrong. He's got his own right and his own wrong.
Yep. Right.
So I don't care where it came from, dude.
And you believe.
I'm telling you, that's what you believe in. And that's your problem. Your problem is you're narcissistic and you're egocentric and you believe in this is right and that's wrong. That's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so you think you're something and you're out there doing something and you can make it happen. And you don't need God.
Matter of fact, you'd be a better God than God.
Holy crap. I'll tell you, and here's another thing. Listen, I want to tell Christians this, man. There ain't anybody out there choosing Jesus.
Right.
My gosh.
Yeah. Right.
God chose you.
Yeah.
It's not my relationship, it's his relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man, we've got it so backward, it's unbelievable. 2,000 years later,
Yep.
we're still telling people to choose Jesus.
Yep.
Holy crap. Nobody's ever chose Jesus.
Jesus chose them. And guess what? He doesn't care and doesn't need them to accept it or receive it. It's given. It's a given. And this, you can see the passion behind it, and it's not due to overtaking God's will and God's plan. It's to help free you and most everyone else who, regardless of what
It's like
belief they claim, from the burden that they're carrying around all day.
Yeah, this is like 40 years of... This is like 40 years of... I walk into a church and I want to shoot myself in the head, man.
Right.
It's like, really? We're telling these people this?
Well, it's like they're telling
I mean, I want to
2
cry.
plus 2
I tell you
equals
what,
5.
I walk out of there, I'm depressed out of my mind,
Yeah.
and I want to cry.
Because they missed the message of Jesus.
And the people are sitting there just believing every freaking word that guy's saying. And what he's doing is he's taking this right here. You see right here? You see right here? It says right there. You ought to do it. You ought not. Now he's talking to the Jews under the old covenant.
It's like walking into a math class when
And
you're
it's like-
teaching 2 plus 2 equals
And
5.
it's like it applies to them.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, 2 plus 2.
And you're like, no, like, and everyone's believing it, and everyone's changing and going that path. I mean, the real
Thank
new covenant is not the New Testament. That's New Testament. That whole book is a representation of the Old Covenant. Jesus brought in the New Covenant, which is God's will. God's word was written on all hearts, every, no, not an inclusive, an exclusive group, and it's an all-inclusive group, and it killed the enemy, killed sin, killed man, and
all that was supposed
all
to
that.
pass away. That belief, the thing they don't understand is when he says all things are supposed to pass away, they think like their bad behavior is supposed to pass away and now they have good behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Or well, I used to be really legalistic, but now I've learned the grace of God, so all those legalistic things have passed away, so now, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
No, the thing that's supposed to pass away is your right and wrong, good versus evil belief system. The thing you eat from, the thing that's telling you ought not to, or you acted out wrong or bad. Holy crap. That's why Christ went to the cross. That's the story that was told. It's right there. Take off your law goggles and you can see it. I'll tell you what, I'd like to round up all the pastors in this church, in this bishops and the rabbis, and holy crap. What in the world?
But the real reason behind that is, and why the message has continued to, in essence, be the same message that Jesus came to crush and end. The new covenant came to stop all that and relieve the burden. I mean, and like you said, that's a representation of man saying, I can do it, and God saying, no, you can't.
Yeah.
Good news is, I did it for you.
This idea, anyway.
So it's the same teachings that Jesus was there telling the Pharisees and telling the Sadducees. It's just a new continuation that throws in Jesus.
It's man still telling man he needs to do something.
Right.
And he can do something.
Mm-hmm.
We got a job to do. We got a purpose. Listen, how about we just find out who God is?
Right.
How about we start with that? Let's go find out who God is. And once we find out who God is, then let's let him take us wherever he wants to take us.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he'll take us to the Congo.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. Follow that intuition. Follow
yeah,
that
but
talk with God. Right?
Listen, if we're going to go and do something, let's go with a message that is the good news.
Mm-hmm.
That frees people. Let's go give them the truth.
The new covenant.
Not, hey, you got to get saved so you can go to the good place, and now it's a self-improvement program.
A checklist. Punch your card of how much good works you're doing, and then at the end,
Well, if
when
we
you're
get
judged,
good enough, we can be an elder.
right? And if you get judged,
Maybe we
at
can
the
be a
end,
deacon.
right?
Maybe we can pass out the offering. Maybe we can teach Sunday school class.
Mm-hmm.
Holy crap, man.
Mm-hmm. So then,
Anyway, it's a crying shame. I mean, it's a big lie that was taught. You can be like God.
and the whole there's so many big lies. It's all a big fallacy once you creep behind the curtain and get past
Well,
the.
listen, I'm going to sit down with pastors and they're going to tell me Adam and Eve made a decision.
Mm-hmm.
It was their decision, independent of God.
Totally surprised God.
Yeah.
Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. Not sure how they make a decision based off of what's right and wrong before they ate of the fruit that gave them the knowledge of right and wrong.
Right.
Not sure how that happens.
Right. The cart before
I'm
the
not
horse.
sure how they understand this if they have no understanding of consequence.
Mm-hmm. Right. It happened according to God's plan, God's will. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Says he made the tree delightful to their eyes.
Mm-hmm. So they take the action they took. Yeah. Not making God small. Not making God.
I mean, they act like, Adam and Eve got together and, hey, what do you think?
Right.
I don't know. What do you think? Holy crap! They didn't have the knowledge of right and wrong.
then you know the snake. Like we. Like,
They didn't know the difference between the serpent and God.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
They trusted the serpent. Must have been a pretty good guy.
Mm-hmm. And yeah.
They didn't know. We act like they sat down and made some kind of
Devious plan.
Devious?
Right.
decision to bring sin into the world or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like they knew what sin meant.
Right.
It's like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's got to be that way, Tom.
Yep.
It's got to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're something and we're making decisions. So listen, they don't. There's no answer for this stuff. Listen, the only answer is God. So when I'm just saying, Tom and I say, just so you guys know, when Tom and I say we believe in God, it means there isn't anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no me. There never was a me. There was only God. God only creates himself.
Mm-hmm.
He created us in his own image. That's it. We call it man and woman.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mm-hmm. We give it names. We have a whole
It's a
system
manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
Man has got to have a manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why Jesus said, I got to go, because they just want to see the next manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
But if I stay here, they're never going to know the Father.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, let's go find out who the Father is. And let's go find out what he did. Let's go find out what he's about. Let's go find out how he thinks. And let's go get real. Let's get real with this. Let's get a real... Isn't this crazy? Let's go get a real relationship.
Yep.
Right?
Not the fake one.
And let's just surrender it, man. Let's surrender this belief of us.
Mm-hmm.
This self-belief. Us walking around, well, I believe in myself, and then I'm going to say, Jesus, Jesus. I believe in Jesus. Well, you can't believe in two different gods, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, sorry I got...
No, it's good. I love it. I love it. So
It's been years. I've been walking around knowing this for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I get triggered sometimes when I'll listen to something and I'll go, holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's standing in front of 1,000 people.
Teaching 2 + 2 = 5. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it literally is that. I mean, that's the only analogy that came to mind when you said it. Like,
That's just
when you
so
hear,
bad.
when you know what you shared with me,
It's just sad.
and this actually explains it very good. You wrote this. I mean, this out of print right now, but we'll see what we can do to get this back in print. God Unplugged: Exchanging Law for Unmerited Grace. This concisely.
Well, that's about as simple as it gets. I know.
Concisely.
I know so much more
Since then, right?
since then, but it's a simple. I mean, it's an easy start thing, you know.
Yeah.
But it explains some things. I mean, basically, the difference when you're reading about the flesh man versus the spirit man in there, it's really talking about the old covenant versus the new covenant man.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
But anyway,
So
it's so funny. I forgot about that book, and then you must have said something or something, and I pulled it out.
Yeah. It shared what I thought you were writing in this new book that you're writing, but this one shared the message that I didn't know you already had put into words. And I love the conciseness. Like, it's so brief and powerful. Like you did. Like,
No, it did. It just that went like,
yep.
and then I put it on a website. I don't know how I put it up. I put it on the web,
Yeah.
and somebody called and said, "Hey, I want to do this," but.
Nice.
But the one I'm doing now, we'll see
Yeah. That's
how that goes.
In process. Should have the manuscript soon. That'll be interesting. That'd be cool. But anyhow, this I read half of it into an audio, and I got to read the other half in audio. So I've been listening on the way.
Oh, okay. Oh, well.
It's good.
I don't know. It's pretty simple. It's just hard for man. You know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It's a tough thing.
Well,
And I don't know. You know, honestly, Tom, I think about it now. I think it had to happen to me the way it happened
Right.
a long time ago,
Yep.
because I didn't have anybody tell me. And I mean, I never heard the New Covenant.
Right. It's a
I
secret.
sat in church for 25 years.
I've been
I
in
never
church.
heard the New Covenant at the time, right? And I don't. The thing is, if somebody would have came to me and started talking to me, I probably would have, you know.
Whoa, yeah, right. Wait a second. Free will. Wait,
Gotten all upset,
no
you know?
Free will. Wait a minute. Yeah. Because it's.
But you know, God just took me out in the country.
Yep.
You know, He just took me away
Yep.
and said, "Hey."
When you've been taught 2 +